Okay, so we'll be working through lesson 6 on page 593. What I want you to do is I want you to look at this first equation here. Y is equal to 2x plus 4. So let's write that down here. So y is equal to 2x plus 4. What you need to realize when you are given an equation is what form it's in. That's what they want you to be able to pick out. So this is in the form of y is equal to mx plus b. If you realize that it's in that form, you get some major pieces of information. This is your slope. So you pick out all the information that you know. Now remember, slope is rise over run. So this would be 2 over 1. We're going to rise 2 and we're going to run 1. Then this is our b value, but that's the y-intercept, right? So let's write y-intercept is equal to 4. What you do when you're told to graph this is you always need a point and then you follow your slope. So the point that they give us is the y-intercept. That's 4. So you'd go to your graph and put 4 down. Once your point is on your grid, you follow the slope. Rise 2, run 1. Rise 2, run 1. Rise 2, run 1. Make sure, oh, that one's wrong. Make sure you're able to go in the opposite direction as well. So if I said, what's the opposite of rise 2, run 1? It would be fall 2, left 1. Fall 2, left 1. So from here, I'm going to fall 2 and go to the left 1. Fall 2, go to the left 1. You then have a ruler, so make sure you have a ruler on your exam because one of your long answer questions is going to be a graph. So you'd put your ordered pairs on there or your coordinates on there. You would get your ruler and you would connect your dots. And then I'll just put arrowheads on each end to show the end behavior. So that's in the form of y is equal to mx plus b. Look at the next one. Let's write this equation down here, and let's see what we could pick from the equation. So y minus 2 is equal to 2, open bracket, x plus 1. What I hope that you could see from this is in slope point form, right? So the equation for slope point form, and remember, you will be given these 3 equations. It's y minus y1 is equal to m, open bracket, x minus x1. Okay, so this is in slope point form. So what would you do? You would say, okay, in front of your bracket is your m. So my slope is 2. Remember, it's 2 over 1, which is a rise of 2 and a run of 1. Okay, then you need a point. And the point is given, and you have to remember how to read the point. Does anybody remember what it would be? So is it, for example, 1, negative 2, or who remembers what this point would be? So Ainsley, what do you think it would be? Negative 1, positive 2. When it's in slope point form, you take the opposite of what you see. So this would be negative 1, and this would be 2. I will show you an alternate way if you forget this on the exam, though. So negative 1, comma 2. Remember, you were just given now your x and a y coordinate. That's a point. Find where that point is on your grid, plot the point, and follow your slope. So when x is negative 1, down here, x is negative 1, y is 2. So that's where the point would go. So what do? We follow the slope. Rise 2, run 1. Rise of 2, it's the same, it's going to be the exact same graph. They just gave it to you in a different form. So then you could remember fall 2 to the left 1, fall 2 to the left 1. Oh, that's off. Okay, so let's say on the test you panic and you say, I can't remember what the point was. I can't, like, was this a positive one, negative one? You can't remember. Here's what you'll do on the test if you panic. Let's rewrite this equation exactly how they gave it to us. Y minus 2 is equal to 2 open bracket x plus 1. Everybody's going to say, they're all going to know the slope, but some of you might say, what was the point? Like, I can't remember how to get the point out of here. If you can't remember, get out of this form, right? If you can't remember, take that 2 and distribute it into the bracket, and then watch what will happen. So get rid of the bracket, that's always the first step, and you're going to get y minus 2 is equal to 2x plus 2. Then you need to isolate y. So Michaela, what do you want me to do to isolate y? Add 2 to both sides. So add 2 and add 2. Y is now isolated and it is positive. Now you have 2x plus 4, and hopefully you say to yourself, oh, now I'm in the form y is equal to mx plus b. So there was the slope. And if you couldn't remember your point, that's fine as long as you know that this was the y-intercept, right? Y-intercept is equal to 4. And let's see, is the y-intercept 4? So I go up, yeah. I could have started from that point, okay? Now, if you were given something in general, right? We can't do anything in general. We got to get out of general. So let's write this equation in general. 2x minus y plus 4 equals 0. You've got to get out of general, and you always go into this form, mx plus b. So you just tell yourself, I've got to isolate the y. That is where we box in the y, because y needs to be positive always, right? If you look at this equation, this y is positive. So you decide, does the y here stay or does it go? Serena, what do you think? It goes. Add y to both sides. It's negative. We need to get that to be positive. You would then have 2x plus 4 is equal to y. And remember, a lot of students want to see y on the left and then the equal sign. So you could directly swap these two. Y is equal to 2x plus 4. You don't change any signs. Y is equal to 2x plus 4. Then here is the same thing. Your slope of 2 over 1 and your y-intercept of 4. I'm not going to bother graphing this because it's the exact same equation as these two. It's just given in a different form, right? So what the whole point of this question is showing you is that these three equations, y is equal to mx plus b, slope, point, general, they all produce the exact same answer. You just have to know how to get out of things, how to read stuff, plot your point, follow your slope. Now, one thing I just want to mention, the y-intercept of 4 is a point. What would the point be? What would the coordinate be? Yes, if the y-intercept is 4, we know that that's y. If it's an intercept, x is always 0. So sometimes students forget that that would be the coordinate, the ordered pair. Flip your page. This is a classic exam question. It's going to get you to match. So it gives four different graphs, and we're going to match it with four different equations. Here's what I want to do before we even start this. Next to A, I want you to write a plus or a minus. Is this a positive or a negative slope? Do that next to B. Next to C, no, Ainsley, because you've got it opposite. Do it next to C and D. So quickly write if you think it's positive or negative. Because this is going to help you with like elimination, getting rid of certain answers. Juan, what is A? Sorry? Is it positive or negative? Is this a... Yes, this is a negative slope. The next one, Evan, is what? Oh, sorry, B. What would this guy be? This is positive. You're going up the mountain. Here you're sliding down. So this guy is positive. Carly, what's C? Is that guy going to be a positive or negative? Yes, you're sliding down. And Aiden, what would D be? Positive. So I'll show you why I even did this. Let's actually do equation 2 first, because this is going to be hopefully nice and easy. It's in slope is equal to y-intercept, right? So let's write off here y is equal to mx plus b. They said the equation for equation 2 was y is equal to negative 2x plus 3. You know that your slope is negative. So what you could do is you could eliminate, by process of elimination, you could eliminate the two positive answers. It is not going to be graph D, and it is not going to be graph B, because those are positive slopes. So we just have to figure out, is it A or is it C? It has a y-intercept of 3. A has a y-intercept of 3. C has a y-intercept of negative 3. What's my answer? A or C? It is A. We want a positive y-intercept of 3. So the answer is A, because this is your y-intercept. Then what you could do to double check is you could follow your slope, right? So our slope was negative 2 over 1, down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1. And you make sure you keep going back to your line, down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1. Okay? So the answer for that one is A. Let's do equation 3 next. Like if this was a test and I was matching, I would do that one first because there's no work to be done there, right? It's in slope y-intercept. Let's do equation 3 because we could pick out this. Hopefully you see this is in slope point form. Y minus y1 is equal to the slope x minus x1. Okay, the slope is negative. It's going to be a fall of 1 to the right 2. So I am only going to look at these two graphs. Oh, no, actually, I know which one it's going to be. Do you guys know what it would be? It would be C. There's only two negative graphs, right? There's only two negative graphs. We've already picked A, so the answer will be C, but we're going to verify this. Okay, so here's how we're going to verify. What is the point? Raise your hand if you're able to read what the point is on equation 3. Who's able to look and get the point? Justin, what would the point be? It's not 4-1. Nope. Maria? Just a bit louder, Maria. Yes, Justin, it's the opposite. It's not 4, it's negative 4. It's not 1, it's negative 1. So you guys, watch this. If I wasn't sure, I'd be going to every single graph and I'd be finding that point, negative 4, negative 1. Here's where it would be on graph A. It's not on the line, right? Here's where that point would be on graph B. It's not on the line. Here's where it would be on graph D, and here's where it is on the answer, which is graph C. And then you could follow the slope. Down 2 to the right 1. Down 2 to the right 1. Okay, so we've got A taken care of, and we've got C taken care of. Let's figure out equation 1. So hopefully equation 1, you just have to realize you are in general, right? So if you're in general, you got to get out of it. Get into y is equal to mx plus b. Kyle, do I keep the y there or do I move it? Move it. It's negative. Add y, add y. The equation would now be 2y plus 3, oh, sorry, 2x plus 3 is equal to y. So 2x plus 3 is equal to y. That's this. Y is equal to 2x plus 3. Take what you know. You know you have a positive slope. And it's 2 over 1. So the picture will look like that. That's the graph of a positive slope. It's either going to be B or D. And then you know that the y-intercept is 3. That guy there is the y-intercept. So I say, which one of these has a y-intercept of 3? They both do, right? They both do. So now you got to follow the slope to figure out which one's the answer. Rise 2, run 1. So from here, if I went up 2 and over 1, I'm not on the line. If I go up 2 over 1, I'm not on the line. Look at D. From here, go up 2 over 1, you're back on the line. Up 2 over 1, you're back on the line. So that would be D. Equation 1 is going to be D. And then the last one, let's get this into slope y-intercept. So we want to isolate the y for this. It is positive. So you say, I'm going to keep the y over here because it's positive. Get rid of this minus x by adding x to both sides. Get rid of this negative 6 by adding 6 to both sides. So plus x, plus x, plus 6, plus 6. My equation is now 2y is equal to x plus 6. Angel, what do I do from here? I got to isolate this y, so how do I do that? By everything by 2. You get, to get y by itself, get rid of that 2 by dividing everything by 2. You have to realize, and some students forget, that there's an invisible 1 here, right? So the slope, sorry, I'll go into, that's going to be y is equal to 1 over 2x plus 3. So that's what it would be. Slope is 1 over 2, which looks like that. It's a positive slope. It's going to be a rise of 1 and a run of 2. The y-intercept is going to be 3. So we know it's going to be this one. And I'm just going to double check. From 3, was it 1 over 2? Rise of 1, run of 2. You just got to keep getting back to your line. Okay. Let's do this last question, and then I will give you your homework questions. It says, and it's going to say in the homework, explain your strategy. You don't have to explain nothing. You won't have to explain on a test, right? You just look at this, and it wants you to do a couple of things. So we're going to figure out a couple of things here. Recognize that this is in slope point. Y minus y1 is equal to m x minus x1. Can you please write the slope and the point? Like, let's see if you're able to do that now. What is the slope of this? What is the point? Julius, what is the slope? Say that again. Yep, -5. The slope would be right here. negative 5. Remember, you put that over a 1. So a couple of things. It is a negative slope. If you want, draw what the graph would look like. This is what a negative slope looks like. Then remind yourself it's rise over run. So you're going to fall 3 and you're going to run 1. Go to the right one. The point. Erin, do you know what the point would be? So is it positive 2 or negative 2? Positive 2. And sorry, what's the y coordinate? Negative 8. The opposite. So you get your point. If you forget, right, what do you do if you forget? Do it off to the side. Write this equation down. Y plus 8 is equal to negative 5, x minus 2. If you forget how to get the point from there, just get out of that form then. Y plus 8 is equal to negative 5x plus 10. Negative 5 times negative 2 is 10. Isolate y by getting rid of that 8, and you will have y is equal to negative 5x plus 2. So what you hopefully are seeing is you got the exact same slope of negative 5 over 1. And then here's your point, right? If you couldn't pick the point out from the other one, your point is now y-intercept of 2. So the point would be x is 0, y is 2. Look at this. So I want everybody to look at it, see what you would do. What would you do if I gave you this? It's in general. It is useless in general. So do whatever you're going to do to this. Michaela, what would you do if you got this general form? You would add y. Remember, you always want to get to this. Y is negative, so she said add y. And then I'm just going to flip it for you. Y is equal to 4x plus 9. This is a positive slope, so the graph would go up, right? The slope is 4, which is 4 over 1, rise of 4, run of 1, and your point that they gave you would be the y-intercept of 9. So on your y-axis, you would find 9, and you'd put your dot. Last thing we are going to do, and I want you to star this, it's what we're going to be doing in every chapter, pretty much, determine the x and y intercepts. So if they gave you this, right, and this was on the quiz, what is the x-intercept? What equals 0 if you were solving an x-intercept? Sorry, Justin? What's 0? Y. Let y equal 0. So in this equation, y comes out and 0 goes in. So what would it look like? 4x minus 0 plus 9 equals 0. You could just get rid of that, right? So you're left with 4x plus 9 is equal to 0. We only have one variable. The variable is the x. We need to solve for x. Xavier, what do you want me to do from here? Subtract 9. And then Jasmine, what's the last thing? Divide it by 4. So the x-intercept is negative 9 over 4. If they said, what is that ordered pair? The x is negative 9 over 4. You'd figure out what that decimal is. And the y is 0. We're going to write that equation one more time because we now have to calculate the y-intercept. So the equation is 4x minus y plus 9 equals 0. If you are looking for a y-intercept, you let the other variable, which is x, equal 0. Here's the x, and a 0 goes there. So we'd have this, 4 times 0 minus y plus 9 equals 0. Then you could say, okay, anything times 0 is 0. So we are then left with minus y plus 9 equals 0. This is very close to what you had on a quiz, and I'll tell you what a lot of you did, and about half of you got this wrong. So a lot of you said, okay, you got to subtract 9, and you're correct, right? So you have to subtract 9, subtract 9. Everybody did that step. And then you would get this, and half of you boxed in y-intercept equals negative 9, because it says a negative 9 here, and I have a y here. Why is this not the y-intercept? What's wrong with it? Yeah, can't be negative. So what is that negative? Like, what is that? It's a negative 1. Yeah, that's an invisible negative 1. So to get rid of it, because you need always to isolate y, divide that by negative 1, divide that by negative 1. Y is equal to 9. So that would have been the point. Yes. Absolutely. Yep. So Ainsley said, could I just not have done this? And you could have actually done that in one step because basically add y, you're done. You're into y is equal to mx plus b, and there was your y-intercept at 9. Yep. So it's just sort of whatever you see. If the question, though, Ainsley, was algebraically determined, then you got to let the other variable equal 0. Okay, here's your homework. We're going to circle it. I'm going to do one with you because we haven't done a fraction, so I want to show you a fraction. So circle number 1. Circle number 2. Circle 3. 4. So this is what we did, remember? 5, we did this, matching. And I think I only had 1, not 6. 7, circle. Cross out B. I'm not going to be asking window settings, right? That was the last unit exam that I was testing that. I'm just going to be asking, like, what can you get from each of these? And you guys, again, when it says explain the strategy, no strategy. Just if this is what I give you, what do you get from it? If this is what I give you, what do you get from it? Okay, go back. There's one question I want to quickly talk about. I'm trying to think. I think it was this one. Okay, let's look at this one together because I just want to remind you of one thing. So it's y plus 4 is equal to 1/2 x minus 2. This is in slope point form, right? So those of you that realize it's in slope point form would take the slope, and you have to be able to get the point, right, if you're going to use slope point form. Wale, do you know what the point is? What would x be and what would y be? It, is it, yeah, y is negative 4, and what would x be? 2. So the point would be 2, negative 4. Now, so we could do it from here, right? Find that point and then follow your slope. Rise of 1, run of 2, rise of 1, run of 2. Let's review, though. How do we get rid of, let's go into y is equal to mx plus b, because now we have a fraction. So this was one of your test questions. You got to get rid of the bracket. So you take that fraction, you're going to distribute it in here. What you would have is y plus 4 is equal to 1 over 2x minus, and then remember, if you are unsure how to do this in your head, like a half times -2, on your calculator, you type a half in a bracket, and then we're going to multiply it by -2. So it would be open bracket, 1 divided by 2, close that bracket, multiply that by -2. If you want to verify, the answer is -1. So it's a half x minus 1. What do you do from here? You could do it in two separate ways. Do you want to subtract, if I say go into general, let's say, do you want to subtract the 4, or do you guys get rid of that 2 if we're going into general? Yeah, it's up to you. You could do it either way. Remember, if I say go into general, though, it's x, y constant. This is what you do. Multiply this by 2, multiply this by 2. You get 2y plus 8 is equal to 2 over 2 would cancel to leave you with 1x minus 2. This is if we're going into general. And then remember general, the x must be positive. So is everything going to the left or to the right? To the right. You're going to subtract 2y from both sides. You're going to get rid of that 8 by subtracting 8. And remember, that would have to, your two constants would go together. 8 minus 8 is 0. So now you'd have 0 is equal to 1x minus 2y minus 10. And remember, there's nothing we could do here in general, but just in case you had to manipulate into general, that's how you would do it. Okay, take your 20 minutes, however much you need to get this homework done.